welcome back to the Witsup Weekly Grind. Hope you are all doing well. I've got a few new things happening at the moment, so please excuse me while I just fix up a couple of these. I got a new stand because I broke two of the old ones, so I had to actually upgrade. Before we keep moving along, same as usual, I need to make sure that the audio is working okay. So please just leave me a comment and let me know. I'm going to keep riffing until I hear from you. Let's have a quick look at the comments. Hi, Mel Marsh. Good to see you back. I see you've just tuned in. Where are the comments? Here we go. So please make sure that you leave me a little comment letting me know whether you can hear me or not. Kate Somerville has tuned in. It's good to see you back. Kate, you're in Tucson now. I think possibly one of our last Witsup Weekly Grinds in 2020, you were still in Western Australia, I think, Western Australia, and you're about to move over. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I hope everything is going okay in Tucson. G'day to Joe Coombe, Cheryl, Hazeldine, and Mel Saltil. Great to have. Oh gosh, it's so good to see your names pop up again. Mel Marsh is saying hi as well. Fantastic to see a lot of our regulars tuning back in again. Hi, Lucia. Fantastic to see you as well. Sian Morris, who is in Western Australia, has said all good from lockdown in Perth. I feel for you guys over there, or I guess for people wanting to get into WA. Was it just one case and all of a sudden they've shut you down again? Ooh, that is harsh. For those of you overseas, I guess the rules here in Australia are very, very strict, and particularly in Western Australia. So with one case, they have locked the borders once again. Nick Mallet, there you are. I was waiting for you to pop in. How you doing, buddy? Great to have you back on board. And I'm glad that you're tuning in live because I want you to get involved with our chat about the announcement last week about the sub 8 hour and sub 7 hour record attempt that was announced last week. Lucia, I saw you climbing out of the bushes yesterday. Oh, were you racing? Were you racing or on the side of the road? So I was at the local 2XU triathlon event. That's the second one already this year. I think they've had to sort of squash a lot of races that would typically go from mid-November to March, and they've pushed them all to 2021. So it's fantastic to see some racing returning, particularly in Melbourne, obviously, because that's where I'm at, but also there was, excuse me, we were in lockdown for such a long time. So we didn't see any kind of events for a long time, but it's starting to happen again. Lucia, I love that you saw me climbing in out of the bushes. And I actually posted something on Instagram stories about that as to whether I hurt myself getting out. And I only did a little bit. I've only got a few scratches and cuts and bruises on the old shins, but it was worth it. I got the shots I was after, so it was totally worth it. Joe Coombe has just said it was a shame to see that the swim was cancelled again. Yes, it was such a shame because it was a stunning day. It was almost perfect conditions. It wasn't too hot. There wasn't that much wind, but unfortunately here in Melbourne, it absolutely bucketed down on Friday, which means that the water quality is not good. Something about the E. coli and other bits and pieces. Ugh. Even just saying bits and pieces in the water is a bit gross. But that's why the swim was cancelled. I was hiding in another set of bushes, waiting for the elite athletes to come through. And it was probably, I'm going to say maybe 300 or 400 meters from the start line. And man, the start of a duathlon is hectic. With the age groupers, they did more of a rolling start, I believe. But duathlon elite starts are insane. And everybody is absolutely hammering it, particularly through it's pathways. So you can maybe get two abreast through there. I actually posted a little bit of footage on my Steph Hansen's production Instagram stories. Check it out, and you can see that they're all jostling for positions in those first sort of 400 or 500 meters, and it is hectic. Joe's just said, yes, they basically let all of the crap run into the bay. It's pretty terrible, and she's not wrong. I was going to save the racing stuff till later, but I may as well ask the question now while we're talking about it. Like I said, it's fantastic to see some racing return to Australia and New Zealand. I'm sorry that that's not happening across the globe. Hopefully things start to look better towards the middle and the end of the year. Across the globe, not just race speaking, obviously, but global pandemic speaking. Hopefully things do get better. But we'll try and stick to the positives on our return to the Witsup Weekly grind for 2021. And the positives here in Australia is that racing is getting back underway under COVID-safe plans. Geelong 70.3, which is in a few weeks, just got the all clear. They've been planning to go ahead with it, but it is actually official that Geelong 70.3 will go ahead, but it will just be for Australians. As of right now, from across the country, people will be able to race at Geelong 70.3, except for maybe Western Australia. I think that's just going to be a bit of a play it by ear. But we're hoping to see some top-tiered Australian athletes lining up. I think just off the top of my head, based on who I've seen, has said that they're coming to 70.3 Geelong. We'll be keeping our eye on Amelia Watkinson, she's a Kiwi, but she's been living in Australia for quite some time, and it's going to be exciting to see her racing as well. And to be honest, I'm super excited to be back amongst the long distance racing, because that's my jam. That's what I know. And sprint distances are very hard to cover. I was knackered yesterday. Mel Saltil, fantastic, has just said the 2 weekends in a row here in New Zealand, 2 of our oldest triathlons have sold out. That is fantastic news. I love hearing that. We recently had the Port of Tauranga race go ahead. That was last weekend. Mel, what are the 2 races that you are talking about? I'm just going to pop that back up on screen. The 2 oldest triathlon races in New Zealand. Mel, let me know what they are. Just leave a comment below and I'll share that as well. But that's fantastic to see that happening. Next weekend, we've got Hell of the West Triathlon. We'll be keeping an eye on that and seeing who is racing. I know Ellie Salthouse is racing. I haven't looked into the entire start list yet, but it'll be great to see her back racing. The last time we saw her race was, I believe, at Hervey Bay 100. So great to see some races up and running once again. Joe Coombs just said Tweed Enduro in New South Wales is sold out for the 7th of March too. Awesome news, fantastic news coming out of Australia and New Zealand in terms of racing once again. Sorry for those folks across the globe who can't race, but hopefully things start to look better sooner rather than later. Now, just speaking of racing, what I want to know, because we're always trying to improve here at Witsup, we're always trying to give our readers and our audience what they want. How do you consume race results or updates? Do you like watching racing live? Would you prefer just to follow on Twitter? Do you like Instagram stories? Do you like just written race previews and wrap-ups? Give me a bit of an idea of how you consume race reporting and coverage, because we would love to improve, and we feel like we've got this unique opportunity this year to really make a difference. I guess it's also really important to use our platform to showcase these athletes and these events that are happening, to give, I guess, a little bit of inspiration to people across the globe who can't race at the moment. So I want to make sure that we do a good job of it. That's not to say we haven't been doing a good job. We always are looking for ways to improve. So leave a comment, let me know, give me any ideas that you've got, and let's see what we can perhaps come up with. I spoke to the crew from Ironman this morning, and we will be at Geelong covering the event and looking forward to catching up with everyone down there. Back to Mel Saltil in New Zealand. Mount Festival, previously known as the Port of Tauranga. Oh, sorry, did I say that wrong? And the Blue Lakes Multisport Festival. She said, don't get me in trouble. Two of the oldest, not necessarily the oldest. Okay, some classics. Back to Nick as well. The new Ultra 355 Australia in Hervey Bay on February 27th. That's super exciting. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. Check that out over on the Ultra 355. And you can get all the information there. So I'm getting lots of comments now, which is fantastic. Oh, God, it's good to be back. It's so good to be back. Lindsay Henderson, Instagram stories that I don't need sound on to know the updates. So written out results through the stories. Fantastic. Lindsay, why don't you like the sound? Is it because you're at work or you're somewhere where you shouldn't have any sound on? The other reason I want to ask that question is, if you've been following our Instagram stories lately, every time there's some kind of audio where I'm talking or someone else is talking, I'm trying to make sure that we've got captions. Originally, that started after doing a podcast with Susan Lakey and Kate Ness. Susan has a hearing disability. And it finally dawned on me that she would never have listened to our podcast in the past. So what we are doing, I'm still playing a bit of catch up, but what we're doing with our podcast is I will be posting or publishing them on YouTube as well so that there can be captions attached to the video. Similarly, with all of our Instagram stories and any of our video content, I'm going to make sure as best as I can to make sure that there are captions on that as well so that anyone can get access to any of the video content that we are putting out there. But on top of that, Lindsay, thank you for that. A lot of people have also commented saying that, they might be in a place where they can't actually listen. So having subtitles or captions really helps. Okay, this is going crazy. I need to get back to it. Joe Coombe, live is best, but always good to read an in-depth review. Also, interviews with the pros. Your Cairns coverage was primo, including the next day interviews. Thank you for that, Joe. And it was primo because we had the best in the business up in Cairns, none other than Belinda Granger. Mel Camp has just said that there's still spots available for the Ultra 355. Come and join us. Mel, if you can, leave a link. Otherwise, at the end of this, I'll pop a link in the description as well. D, I think you did a great job. Just because I'm nosy in the race previews, it would be interesting to hear more about who the athletes are being coached by. Okay, that's fantastic feedback. Thank you. Laura Siddle does a lot of our race previews and recaps, and she's phenomenal. She knows her stuff, and she can probably reel off every athlete and every coach off the top of her head. So I'll give her that feedback. It's fantastic. Lucia, Insta is fine for updates. And Stancil, great to see you back. She says, I like to follow live if possible, but it's hard with international races and time zones. Recaps in print on the website are nice. The other thing is, way back when, I used to always do little video recaps as well. And I want to bring that back at Geelong 70.3 because I'll be there. What do you think of that? Just keep it brief, 3 to 5 minutes, and it gives you some action footage plus some snippets from the pros after the race as well. Is that something that you're interested in? Let me know. Sorry, guys, there's so many comments coming through, but I love it. It's so good to be talking to you all. Sean, love it live and happening, plus the following day interviews with pros. Lindsay's just got back to me. She's at work quite often, so she can't play it out loud or on the trainer with other content playing on her headphones, so it's annoying to switch the sound. Okay, great feedback. Alana, Instagram is great for race coverage, also like the post-race interviews as well. Thank you. Nick Mallet, he always knows what's what. All of my race info and industry gossip comes from what appears on my Facebook feed. Okay, I get info from all over the world about all distances and operators. Oh, that came off. I better change that. That goes way too fast. The only site I go to specifically that doesn't appear on Facebook is the Gong Show. That is Slow Twitch. But other than that, it's all Witsup, isn't it, Nick? Thanks, Mel Kemp, for just posting. There's the link to the Ultra 355. Jordan, Sid Slam is a fun race recap too. Absolutely. So not only does Sid do the written previews and wrap-ups, or the majority of them, we also have the Sid Slam, which we'll be bringing back next week, I think, because we'll have a couple of races to recap. And that's, we basically just put her under the pump to see if she can do all of the race recaps under 2 minutes, which at the moment isn't too bad because there's not heaps. But I think one weekend there was like a dozen or something, and she had to try and slam it all in 2 minutes. Sue Hutter, fantastic to see you back. I miss you, my friend. I hope you're well. I will watch on any platform. You are one. They are all marvelous. Okay, so I'll just take that as a compliment. Thank you, Sue. Kate likes Facebook feed. Love the interviews the next day as well. This is fantastic feedback. Thank you so much. We are going to take all this feedback. We've got a meeting tomorrow, so I might bring it up then. Jordan, if you can make notes, that'd be fantastic. Jordan is another... You'll see Jordan pop up everywhere. She does a lot of work behind the scenes with Witsup, so big shout out to Jordan. And I'll be chatting to her tomorrow. Okay, let's move on because I'm here. I hope Nick is still watching because I know he's got some thoughts on this, but I'm sure plenty of other people do as well. What are your thoughts on the announcement about the sub 8 and sub 7 hour attempt over the iron distance? It was announced last week. Also, by the by, so like everything else, I receive the press release, and it typically will always mention the men first. So what I did with the press release is I pulled all the women's stuff and moved them to the front of the conversation because that's what we do here at Witsup. We make the women front and center. So that's why I keep saying sub 8 hour first and sub 7 hour, because the 8 hour is more important to us, obviously being a women in triathlon platform. So the two people who are going to attempt this amazing feat, is the audio still okay? The two women, Lucy Charles-Barclay and Nicola Spirig. So if you haven't read the press release, I have got a link in the description of this live video. But if you haven't read it, the short story is these two women, plus there's two men going for sub 7 hours as well. They will, thank you, Kate, for that audio note. So these women are going to attempt to beat 8 hours over the 3.8K, 180K bike and 42.2K run. The difference is this is not part of a traditional race. They will be doing this by themselves or in the venue hasn't actually been announced yet. The team are looking for the perfect place to host this event. It was very similar to the 2-hour marathon event that happened, was that 2019 now? I can't remember. But essentially, there are no rules in terms of drafting. They can have as many paces as they wish. The whole concept is not about doing it in a traditional non-drafting triathlon race. It's to see how fast they can push their bodies. So that's what the concept is. If they break the 8 hours, sure, over that distance, it will be sort of seen as a record-breaking attempt, as the fastest person ever over that distance, but it won't be a true iron distance record. That record is held by Chrissy Wellington in 8 hours and 18 minutes and change, 36 seconds, I think. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 36 seconds. At Challenge Roth. Gosh, now I'm second guessing myself. I'm pretty sure it was Challenge Roth, but I think her fastest was Ironman was South Africa. Don't quote me on that, but I do know it was 8 hours and 18 minutes. So that is the fastest a woman has ever gone over the iron distance. This event is all about just how fast someone can go over the iron distance, doing whatever they can to get there. So on the swim, they can have paces in the swim, which happens in a normal iron distance anyway. You know, you can sit on anyone's toes if you wish to do so. Pretty sure Lucy Charles-Barclay is not sitting on anyone's toes unless she's tapping the toes of the men in front of her. But then she's not sitting on anyone's toes. She's just going straight past them. On the bike, they can draft on the bike the entire way as well. So that, over 180 kilometers, can make a massive difference. We know that. So expect the bike to be the play or the opportunity to make up a lot of time in comparison to a traditional iron distance triathlon. And same with the run. They can have paces on the run as well. Now, I want to go back to some of the comments because I'm sure some people have got some great comments about this event. It's set to go ahead in 2022. Once again, the venue has not been decided yet. They're looking for the perfect place. You know, you want something that is flat, that's not going to be too windy, and other things that I can't think of right now. Okay, Joe Coombe has said, for anyone who understands the real numbers, the targets seem very unrealistic, but with so many international racing likely in the next year, at least it will keep the fans interested. But with so little, So this is an interesting point, and this is something that I'm hoping I get to catch up with Lucy in the next week or so, or potentially Nicola. Where does this event sit during the rest of their racing calendar in terms of importance? Maybe in terms of how much money they could receive for attempting this. But, you know, they're going to be going to the world. They're going to be pushing their body beyond limits to try and attempt to hit sub 8 hours. So what are the repercussions from that in terms of their next race or the rest of their racing schedule? That's what I'm interested in. But like Joe sort of alludes to, maybe there won't be a whole bunch of racing still in the next 12 to 18 months. So maybe it won't have a massive effect on their calendar. Great one. Jordan, I think it all comes down to drafting on the bike. Sub 8 hours seems achievable. I do agree with you. Chrissy Wellington did it in 8 hours and 18 minutes, and that was with no drafting. Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that was challenge route. I've had a mental blank. But a lot of people say that the route course can be a little bit short, so that could shave off a few minutes here and there. But I feel like the women's record is a little bit more closer to the fingertips than the sub 7 that the men would have to achieve. Lindsay said it's 8 hours, 18 and 13 seconds, damn it, based on our article Yes, correct. So if I wrote it in that, then that is the correct time, plus also the correct race. Thank you, Lindsay. Anna said, I think it's exciting, but what does it say about their speed on an actual race course? I don't know what you mean by that. Kate Somerville, fast carbon shoes. I think we're going to be seeing some more carbon shoes coming out in the next year or this year. Can the paces be male? That's a fantastic question, Dee. I believe so. Based on the information that I've been given, a pacer can be anybody and they can have as many paces as they want, I believe. So yeah, if you imagine a peloton on the bike, they can do that if they want to do so. And while I'm just chatting about this, and I'm going to come back to some of the comments, the other thing I want to know from you guys is if you were going to do this, who would you be getting to pace you? Would you get another triathlete? Or would you be looking at some of the best time trialers in the world outside of triathlon and getting them over, to help out? Or does a Lucy Charles Barclay, for example, or a Nicholas Spirig call up Sebi and say, mate, what are you doing on February the 14th? And he'd be like, oh, it's Valentine's Day. I can't join you. I don't know. Who would you choose? Who do you think would be the best people to pace with? You'd want people that you trust as well. Nick, here we go. Nick has just said they can both do it given the way it's going to be run. If they go with Macca's preferred location, the F1 track in Montreal, which was the 99. You're such a geek, Nick. I love it. Why does that keep popping down? I love how much you know about the tri world. Lucy did 8:31 in Roth. So with her team helping her on the bike, she would take her bike time down to 4:20-ish and then a 2:50 run. It does say same-sex teams only. I didn't see that. Nick, can you just shoot me a message and tell me where you saw that? But thank you for filling me in on that. I did not see that information. But yes, super interesting. But does Lucy have a 2:50 marathon in her? We'll see. That sounded a little bit like Yoda. Lindsay, LCB never having been a short course athlete, how good is her bike handling to optimize a draft compared to the other three who had careers in drafting short course? Good question. I would say she will be dialing that in for sure. She's obviously very good on the bike and very good in the time trial position for that period of time. We just have to look at what she's done in Kona, let alone some of the other races. And also, bike handling to optimize a draft. So yeah, I guess you're saying as close to the person in front as possible. I reckon it'll be interesting as well in terms of her being on a brand new bike. If you didn't see that announcement, she's now on Cube. So it'll be interesting to see how they're working with her on this attempt as well. Jordan, yes, everyone's saying 8:18 challenge route. Jordan, you need a low 40 swim, basically 45 minutes, and then a low 4 bike and sub 3 run, which that is asking a lot. But like we said, don't forget, it's when you're drafting on the bike, so you're going to pick up time, but hopefully you're not going to be expelling as much energy as well. So how will that affect your run? Hopefully positively, but we'll see. It'll take a lot of this as well, not to go too crazy. Or do you have to go crazy to even get close to the sub 8 hour record? Jordan said no rules. It's to go sub 8. That's it. Yeah, okay. Nick again is saying it has to be the same sex team members. Thank you, Nick. I didn't see that, but I'm going to take your word for it, but I'm going to look that up afterwards. So with that being said, in the women's field, Lucy and Nicola, and I keep saying Lucy, but Nicola's pretty handy. Who do you think they would choose to be on their team if it has to be same-sex teams? Who would she choose? Actually, let's just keep it right now. You have to choose. This is not the rule, but let's see. In the world of triathlon, who would you choose to be your pacers? So let's go with the women. Who should the women choose if you had to keep it inside the triathlon world? That's what I want to know. Who would you choose on your team to pace you? Okay. Yes, Anne has just said, I know it's not really the point. Do they need perfect conditions to be able to raise this bar? Yeah, you would, yes. I would say yes. You definitely want near perfect conditions. Imagine if they did point to point with a massive tailwind. That could be interesting. So you've got separate T1 and T2, and it's just one lot. So 180 Ks though, that would be very hard to shut down somewhere to be able to do this for 180 Ks. So that's where, imagine if you could. Let's just get them going across the Nullarbor with a westerly. Westerly wind means it's coming from the west to the east. And they just go on the Nullarbor and it's just one long stretch. Done. Perfect. Okay. Jordan said, ideally people outside of triathlon to broaden the appeal beyond triathlon. That's a really interesting point as well, because this whole concept, it's not just about who can be the fastest triathlete. Sorry. This is also about getting this out there to the broader community. So we saw what they did with the marathon. Everyone was interested in that. You didn't need to know anything about the world of marathon, but the fact that they wanted to do sub 2 hours, and plus Nike have got this incredible, marketing campaign around it. So it helped just lift the profile of running and the marathon, obviously. So that is part of the whole point of this project. Let's get triathlon out to the masses just to show what these triathletes can do. So that's a really good point. Okay, so I'm getting messages everywhere. So I'm really trying to play catch up. Oh, Nick has just said Macca explained it all on the MX podcast a couple of days ago. They're still working out the rule, but it is 5 team members per leg per athlete. Okay, so so I didn't think that was written on the website, but it sounds like they're fine-tuning a few things, which is fine. But yeah, that would be super exciting. Jordan, say 15 to 20%. It's huge on the bike. That's what drafting does. Sorry, Nick, I'm not going to talk about that one. Jordan would pick Lisa Norden. That would be so cool for Nicola. Oh my God. Yeah, that'd be unreal. Get Lisa Norden to be your that's awesome. Nicholas Spirig and Lisa Norden obviously went toe to toe, nipple to nipple at the Olympics, with Nicola grabbing gold and Lisa Norden getting silver. So imagine Nicola turning around saying to Lisa, "Hey, can you pace me for this next thing that I want to do?" That's funny. D said, I assume T1 and 2 will be shorter than Roth 2. Oh, that's an interesting point too. Yeah. Transitions, they will be dialing in the transition and transition location. So the least amount of time possible spent getting changed. That's a really good point. Joe Coombs said, down the Hume, I once rode 180 Ks with a howling tailwind faster than any Ironman bike I've done. This is what we need. Yeah, point to point. Nick. Okay, so this brings me on to my next question. Nick Mallett has said Cam Worth was choked that he was never asked. So this brings me to my next question to you all. I'm sorry, I feel like this is getting a little bit delayed, so I'm sorry if the audio is a little bit delayed. Who other than Nicola and Lucy Charles Barclay would you like to see attempt this massive feat? Daniela Reef obviously would be another choice, and you can't go past Anne Haug. But who would you love to see have a crack at the sub 8 hour attempt? I would love to see that. Joe Coombs just said, I bet Lionel was gutted as well, not being asked. I mean, we also don't know. We don't know who was asked. Anyway, so who else would you like to see? And also my other question with regards to the sub 8 and sub 7, we can throw the men a bone. Who else would you like to see attempted? And who, if you were doing it, would you choose to be part of your team from, let's just say, from the world of triathlon? Lucy will struggle in terms of finding someone. You'd have to go an ITU athlete for pacing in the swim. Laura Siddle's just joined in. Hi, Sid, and she's just said Lisa Norden as well. Is that as a pacer? Are we asking Lisa Norden to be a pacer for Nicola Spirig on the bike? Anne Stansel has just said Chrissy Wellington out of retirement. I don't think she remembers the last time she rode a bike, Chrissy, so that might be rough. But hey, maybe she'll put the old bike shoes back on. Jordan said it has to be the best swim runners since you're mostly minimising the bike. Rinny could do it. Pacing on the run. Yeah, get Rinny to help pace on the run. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Okay, just while you are having a think, we are going to... Oh, no, Laura wants Lisa Norden to go sub 8. I like it. Joe Coombe wants Gwen Jorgensen out of retirement. Ooh, it is heating up. So Gwen Jorgensen hasn't even done a full iron distance. You want to throw into a sub 8 already? That's harsh. Jess Learmonth to pace Sid. This is the perfect segue. Sid has just said Jess Learmonth to pace Lucy on the swim. That is a fantastic idea. Now, speaking of Jess Learmonth, we have a new segment. This is the first time we're doing this, and I'm going to pop it on in just a second. But Jess Learmonth has fast become a fan favourite here at Witsup, so much so that we asked her back to do another episode on the podcast at the start of this year. She kicked off our podcast for 2021. She's the first person to return to the Witsup podcast, and that's because you all were asking for it. So since then, she's become an even bigger fan favourite. So we've asked her to join us regularly on the Witsup Weekly Grind in a little section we like to call Ask Our Jess. Now, we pre-recorded this because it's in the middle of the night over in the UK. So here it is. Leave your comments. Let us know what you think. Here's our first segment of Ask Our Jess.
Ask our Jess.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
This is from Instagram. We're going to call them Instagram fans. Jess fan, Beth Boo 712. What is your favourite part of a roast dinner?
Ooh, stuffing. I love stuffing, but I mean, it's not an every Sunday thing. I have the stuffing, but it is the best bit of Sunday roast for me, definitely. What was it? Beth who?
Beth Boo 712.
Beth Boo 712. Christ, there's a lot of Beth Boos, isn't there? Yeah. Poor lass. You know, normally you get like, oh, I've got to have this month one. She's picked a popular one. Either that or it's her favourite number.
712 is her favourite number. Do you prefer wetsuit or non-wetsuit swims?
Easy one. Non-wetsuit. Any day.
Why?
Yeah. Oh, easier to swim. Not as restrictive. Don't have to fanny about taking it off and on. So, like, before a race, you've got much more time to just chill. And also you don't have to get stuck in it or whatever that I've done before. So, yeah, definitely non-wetsuit all the way.
This is from HRK_triathlete. Jess has a great accent, but can she do other accents?
No. I mean, if I could, obviously I'd want to try change this. Nobody... I hate my accent. Not really. I wouldn't even attempt it because, you know, like when you hear somebody from Yorkshire do French, it's just not good.
I've never heard that. Can you give me an example?
Je m'appelle Jess.
Thank you so much. That is our last question for the week. Everybody, please thank our Jess.
Thanks, guys. Ask our Jess.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is our first Ask Our Jess segment, and we would love to hear back from you. What did you think? I think she is hilarious. I had to edit so much stuff because we only had a certain amount of time, but she's hilarious, and we want to bring her back each week for our Ask Our Jess segment. And speaking of which, if you do have any questions, it could be triathlon related, it could be accent related, it could be anything random. Leave us a comment here, send us an email, info@witsup.com, or find any way really to ask us a question that we can handball over to Jess for our brand new Ask Our Jess segment. And like I said earlier, sorry, Lucia's just said, missed it, had a client in. You have to go back and listen to it. We will have Sid Slam back on the Witsup Weekly Grind as well, hopefully next week, because we will have Hell of the West Triathlon to talk about, and we'll see what other events we've got as well. So please let me know if you did watch the Ask Our Jess segment, whether it was live or whether it was listening to this afterwards. Please just leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought. All righty, we're going to start wrapping things up. Before I go, I want to know how you are. Are you doing okay? You hanging in there? Did you have a great break? I hope you did. We will be bringing you a lot more content here on the Witsup platforms. We appreciate all of your support and everything that you've done with Witsup. Don't forget, if you want to continue seeing us do all the things that we do across our many different platforms, including some more race coverage that will be coming to you, please consider becoming a Witsup Patreon member. I'll leave a link below. We'd really appreciate it, and it helps us continue to do what we do here at Witsup, especially when things are pretty tough during a global pandemic. We'd appreciate any support. That's just patreon.com/Witsup. Guys, it's been so good catching up again, reconnecting. We will see you again, same time next week. Have a fantastic day, and we'll chat to you soon. Alrighty. Bye-bye.